The colony of Orion was not an easy place to grow up. The planet had wide red deserts, endless winds that carved the stone into strange shapes, and a sky that always looked like fire because of the giant red star it orbited. The people who lived. They were tough, but they carried with them the old stories of Earth, their ancestral home far away. On this rough and distant world, every child grew up with dreams of something greater beyond the horizon. Ilara was no different. She was 20 years old now, and on this night, her birthday, she stood at the edge of the cliff above the colony settlement. Below her, the lights of Orion's capital glowed like little stars trapped in the dust. The sounds of music, laughter, and celebration drifted up from the houses. People were celebrating her birthday along with her family and friends, but Ilara needed a moment alone. The red wind played with her dark hair as she stared at the real stars above. The colony sky was always filled with strange constellations. Unlike Earth, here the galaxy's spiral arm was visible as a bright river of light stretching from one horizon to another. She always thought it looked alive, like it was calling to her. Ilara had always felt out of place. She loved her parents, cared about her friends, and respected her teachers, but she could never shake the feeling that she was meant for something larger than the colony. Since she was a little girl, she had dreamed of being a pilot, an explorer, or someone who would help humanity expand to new stars. But Orion was a simple world of miners, traders, and farmers. Most people lived and died here without ever seeing another planet. As she stared into the night sky, she whispered softly, "Make me yours." It was not a prayer to a person. It was not even a wish to a god. It was a plea to the universe itself, to the stars she had watched every night since childhood. On this special night, her 20th birthday, she wanted something more than a cake, more than gifts, more than laughter. She wanted purpose. She wanted to belong to something greater. For a long moment there was only silence. The wind howled across the cliffs, carrying with it the smell of dust and iron. The stars shone cold and distant, just as they always had. Ilara let out a small laugh at herself. "Maybe I've had too much birthday wine," she muttered. She was about to turn back when something strange happened. Far above the sky, a streak of light cut through the constellations. At first, Ilara thought it was a shooting star, but then she saw another. And another. Dozens of tiny sparks moved across the heavens, not falling straight like meteors, but curving, shifting, almost guiding themselves. They were too precise, too organized. Her breath caught in her throat. She watched in awe as the lights moved in formation, then disappeared beyond the horizon. None of the other colonists seemed to notice. The celebration below continued with laughter and music, but Ilara knew she had seen something real. Something had answered her whisper. The next morning, Ilara tried to tell her parents what she had seen. Her father, a practical man who worked in the mines, only chuckled. "Probably a caravan of satellites passing by. You've been reading too many old explorer stories again." Her mother smiled and patted her hand. "It was your birthday. Sometimes imagination runs wild when emotions are strong." But Ilara was certain it was not her imagination. The memory of the moving lights was too sharp, too real. For the rest of the day, she felt a strange energy inside her, like the world had shifted just a little, and only she could feel it. Later that afternoon, her best friend Kieran found her sitting on a bench near the edge of the settlement. He had known her since childhood. While most people thought of Ilara as quiet and dreamy, Kieran understood her restless spirit. He dropped down beside her with a grin. "Why aren't you still celebrating? It's not every day you turn 20. "I needed space," Ilara said. "You always need space," Kieran teased. Then he grew serious. "You saw something last night, didn't you? I can tell from your face." Ilara hesitated. Kieran was the one person she could trust with her secrets. She told him about the lights in the sky, about how they seemed to move with intention. He listened quietly, then leaned back, gazing at the red clouds above. "Maybe you're not crazy," he said at last. "The station scanners did pick up some unusual energy signals. My father mentioned it at breakfast. They dismissed it as solar activity, but—" He looked at her with a spark of curiosity. "Maybe it was something else." The thought sent a shiver of excitement through her. If someone else had noticed strange activity, then she wasn't alone. Something really had happened. 2 days later, the colony began to experience small disruptions. Communications cut out for brief moments. Mining equipment flickered with unexplained surges. Radio operators reported faint whispers of static signals that did not come from human technology. The council assured the people it was nothing dangerous, just the red star's natural storms. But Ilara felt the truth deep in her heart. It was connected to what she had seen. That night she returned again to the cliff. She gazed at the sky, half expecting the lights to return. Hours passed, and nothing happened. But just as she was about to leave, a low hum vibrated through the ground beneath her feet. The sound was not from the colony, but from deep beneath the cliffs. Curious and afraid, Ilara pressed her hand to the stone. The vibration was steady, alive like a heartbeat. She realized there was something under the mountain. Something vast. She wanted to tell Kieran, but a part of her feared no one would believe her. Instead, she kept it secret, visiting the cliffs each night. The hum grew stronger with every passing evening. Sometimes she thought she could even hear faint whispers within the vibration, as if the mountain itself was trying to speak to her. On the 7th night after her birthday, everything changed. Ilara was lying awake, staring out her window when the ground trembled. The colony alarms blared. People ran into the streets in confusion, pointing at the sky. She rushed outside and saw the heavens alive with light. Not meteors, not satellites, but clear, glowing shapes moving with intention. The colony council scrambled to calm the people, but fear spread quickly. Some shouted that an invasion was coming. Others thought it was just another storm. Ilara, however, felt no fear. She felt a strange sense of recognition, as if she had been waiting her whole life for this moment. The glowing shapes passed overhead and disappeared behind the mountains. And then, in the distance, a beam of light shot upward from the cliffs where Ilara had stood on her birthday night. The mountain itself seemed to awaken, glowing from within. Ilara's heart raced. She knew, without understanding how, that her whispered words had awakened something ancient. She had asked the universe to make her its own, and the universe had answered. The next day, the council declared a state of emergency. Scouts were sent to the mountains, but their vehicles failed when they got too close. Strange magnetic forces twisted their instruments. The only thing that seemed certain was that something was buried beneath the cliffs, and something vast and powerful. Ilara said nothing, but she could not escape the truth. It was not the colony, not the council, not even the star that had awakened the mountain. It was her. She remembered the being of light she thought she saw in her dreams. She remembered the hum under the stone. She remembered the moving lights in the sky. And she remembered the words she whispered on her birthday night. Make me yours. And now, something had. The colony of Orion had known many storms, but this was different. The night sky still burned with memory of the glowing shapes that had passed overhead. The beam of light from the mountains had vanished after a few minutes, yet its memory remained in every person's mind. Fear spread quickly. People whispered of invaders, curses, or disasters waiting to fall upon them. Ilara walked through the settlement the next morning and felt the weight of countless eyes on her. She had not told anyone of her connection to the event, but something in the way she moved or the way her eyes carried secrets made others look at her with suspicion. She tried to ignore it, but inside her chest her heart carried both dread and excitement. She knew the strange mountain glow was not an accident. It was an answer. At the council hall, the leaders of Orion argued. Scientists showed broken instruments that could not explain the energy surge. Miners told stories of equipment freezing when near the cliffs. Farmers complained that their crops had been disturbed by strange ground vibrations. No one had clear answers. Governor Rane, a tall and strict man, raised his voice above the chaos. We must remain calm. This is our home. Whatever is in those mountains has been buried for centuries, maybe longer. It has not harmed us before, and it will not harm us now. We will study it, understand it, and keep our people safe. But people were not reassured. Some demanded soldiers guard the cliffs. Others wanted the colony evacuated. Rumors spread that the glowing shapes in the sky were ships waiting to attack. Alara sat quietly at the back of the hall, listening. She had not been invited, but Kieran had pulled her in, saying she deserved to hear what was happening. When she saw the arguments, she whispered to him, "They're all afraid." Kieran nodded. "And fear makes people blind." That night, Alara dreamed again. She stood inside a vast chamber of stone and light. Before her was a figure made not of flesh, but of shimmering brightness, like a person carved from a star. The figure's voice echoed softly, "You called." We answered. "Do not fear." "Who are you?" Alara asked. "Not who. What?" "We are memory. We are a voice left behind. We do not live, but we guide. You are chosen because you asked." "Your kind has forgotten how to ask." Ilara's voice shook. "Why me?" "Because you whispered with longing. Because you wished not for yourself, but to belong to something greater. The key listens for such voices. And it heard yours." The dream faded before she could ask more. She woke with sweat on her skin, and the hum of the mountain still echoing in her ears. The following day, scouts returned with news. Beneath the mountain cliffs, they had discovered massive structures, far older than the colony. Stone tunnels opened into dark halls lined with metal veins that pulsed faintly with light. It was not natural. It was alien. The council argued again. Some wanted to seal the tunnels and forget. Others demanded exploration. Scientists begged for more time to study readings. Soldiers insisted on caution. Alara's parents begged her to stay away from the cliffs, but her curiosity burned too strong. With Kieran's help, she slipped away and joined a group of explorers venturing into the tunnels. Inside, the air was cool and heavy. The walls glowed faintly, showing strange symbols none could read. Every step echoed like a heartbeat. The deeper they went, the stronger Alara felt the vibration in her chest, as if the place itself recognized her. At last, they reached a vast chamber. In its center rested a structure like a sleeping ship, black and silver, covered in dust yet humming with quiet power. The explorers gasped in awe. This is not natural," one of the scientists whispered. "This is technology. Older than us, older than anything we've seen." Alara stepped closer, drawn as if by invisible hands. The ship's surface shimmered when she touched it, glowing brighter at her presence. Everyone gasped. The scientist stumbled back, whispering in fear. Kieran grabbed her arm. "Alara, what did you do?" "I don't know," she whispered back. But deep inside she knew. The ship had been waiting for her. News of what happened in the chamber spread quickly. The council summoned Alara. Governor Rane looked at her with a mix of suspicion and unease. "Why did it react to you?" he demanded. "I don't know," Alara said honestly. It felt like it knew me." "That is impossible," one of the scientists snapped. "It is alien. It cannot know her." But the evidence was clear. Instruments showed the ship's energy levels rose sharply when Alara touched it. Without her, it returned to silence. Some council members whispered she was cursed. Others believed she was chosen. The colony was divided. Governor Rane finally said, "Until we know more, you will not approach the site again. Do you understand?" Alara nodded, though inside she burned with frustration. She wanted to know what the ship was. She wanted to understand why it had chosen her. That night her dream returned. The being of light appeared again. "You touched the key," it said. "The ship?" Alara asked. "Yes, a vessel, but not for travel. A vessel for memory, for choice. Your kind stands at a crossroad. Many will fear, many will desire. But the key responds to one voice alone. Mine," Alara whispered. "Yes, why me?" she asked again. "Because you asked." When she woke, her heart pounded with fear and wonder. The days that followed grew tense. Strange signals filled the sky, interfering with communication. Farmers found their machines failing. Miners refused to work near the mountain. Fear spread like wildfire. Then came the first sign of danger. A listening post at the colony's edge detected ships approaching from deep space. They were not human. Their signatures were unfamiliar, aggressive. The council panicked. Humanity had never faced direct contact with unknown species before. Governor Rane called an emergency meeting. "We cannot defend ourselves against unknown fleets. If they come for the ship, we are powerless. We must hide. We must prepare for evacuation if necessary." But one scientist spoke up. "Perhaps the alien vessel is not a threat. Perhaps it is protection, and it responds only to her." His finger pointed at Alara. The room grew silent. Alara felt every eye upon her. She wanted to shrink away, but a voice inside told her to stand tall. "If the ship chose me," she said softly, "then maybe I can help." Kieran squeezed her hand under the table. That evening, Alara returned secretly to the chamber. The black and silver ship waited silently, humming faintly. She placed her hand on its surface again. This time, light surged outward. The walls glowed and the chamber filled with a low song like thousands of voices humming together. A doorway opened. Alara gasped as a bridge of light extended before her, leading inside the ship. Kieran, who had followed her, grabbed her arm. "Are you sure about this?" "No," she whispered, "but I have to know." Together they stepped inside. The interior was vast and strange. Walls shimmered with moving symbols. A central core pulsed like a living heart. As Alara approached, the symbols shifted into shapes she could almost understand. A voice filled the chamber, clear and soft. "You are the voice, speak." Alara swallowed hard. "What are you?" "We are the Watchers. We left this key for those who would come after. Only a voice that seeks belonging, not power, may awaken it." "You are that voice," Kieran whispered, awestruck. It's alive," Alara trembled. "Why now? Why me?" "Because others come. They hunger. They destroy. If your kind is to endure, you must rise. We cannot fight for you. But we can prepare you. You must choose how to use what we give." The ship's core flared with light. Images filled Alara's mind. Alien fleets tearing through stars, human colonies falling, but also human explorers standing tall, inventing, adapting, surviving. She saw paths of destruction and paths of hope, and in every vision she stood at the center, holding the key. When the vision faded, she fell to her knees, breathless. Kieran helped her up, his eyes wide. "Alara, this is bigger than us." "Bigger than Orion," she nodded, trembling. "I know," and it started with a whisper. Outside, the colony continued to panic. The alien fleets were drawing closer. Time was running out. Alara knew the choice would soon be forced upon her. She had asked the stars to make her theirs, and now they had answered. But would humanity accept the gift? Or would fear tear them apart before the real challenge even arrived? For the first time, Alara was truly afraid. Not of the aliens, not of the ship, but of humanity itself. The days after Alara entered the alien vessel were filled with unrest. The people of Orion were divided. Some believed she was chosen and could lead them to safety. Others thought she had cursed the colony by awakening something dangerous. The council could not decide how to act, and fear spread faster than truth. Alien fleets had been detected at the edges of the system. Their movements were slow but certain. Each day the reports grew worse. Unknown ships larger than any human vessel crept closer. No one knew if they came as explorers, traders, or invaders, but the whispers from the alien vessel inside the mountain had warned Alara. They hunger. They destroy. Inside her heart, she felt the weight of that warning. She had wished for purpose, for belonging, and now the universe had given her both, but at a price. She was no longer just Alara, the girl who dreamed by the cliffs. She was Alara, the voice of humanity. Governor Rane called another meeting in the council hall. The leaders of the colony, the scientists, and the soldiers filled the room. Alara sat at the long table, her hands trembling slightly. Kieran sat beside her for support. Rain's voice was sharp. "The alien fleets are approaching. We do not know their purpose. Our weapons are useless against ships of that size. We cannot defend ourselves." A soldier slammed his fist on the table. "Then we must strike first. If they come near our world, we fight." A scientist shook his head. "With what?" "Our ships are small transports, our weapons are mining lasers. We would be destroyed in minutes." Another council member pointed toward Alara. "We have something more. The ship in the mountain. It responds to her." The room grew quiet. All eyes turned to Alara. She felt her face flush but forced herself to meet their stares. "What do you want me to do?" she asked softly. "Control it," the soldier said. "If it is a weapon, use it. If it is a ship, fly it. Whatever it is, we need it." The scientist shook his head again. "We do not understand its power. If we use it recklessly, it could destroy us all. She is just a girl." Alara's hands clenched. She wanted to shout that she was more than just a girl, but the words stuck in her throat. Finally, she said, "The ship is not a weapon. It is a key. It told me humanity must choose. It cannot fight for us." Governor Rane narrowed his eyes. "Then what is the use of it?" Alara lifted her chin. "It can help us rise, but it depends on how we use it. We cannot think only of fear or power. We must think of survival, of what kind of people we want to become. Her words hung in the air, soft but strong. For a moment no one spoke. Then the arguments began again. After the meeting, Kieran walked with Alara outside. The colony streets were filled with worried faces. Families gathered supplies, children cried, workers abandoned their jobs. The air itself felt heavy with fear. "They don't trust me," Alara whispered. "Some do," Kieran said. "I do. But it's not enough," she said. "I feel like I'm standing on a bridge between two worlds. One step forward and humanity rises. One wrong step and we fall." Kieran placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then take the right step. You've been chosen for a reason." Alara nodded, though the weight of his words pressed down on her. She had wished for purpose, but she had never imagined it would feel this heavy. That night she returned to the vessel. Its walls glowed brighter now, as if sensing the coming danger. The central core pulsed with energy, and the voice of the watchers filled the chamber. "You hesitate," the voice said. "Yes," Alara whispered. "I don't know what to do. They want me to fight. They want me to command. But I don't want power. I only wanted to belong." "You belong," the voice said. "But belonging carries responsibility. Humanity is at a turning point. Fear will lead them to destruction. Hope will lead them to survival. The key listens to your choice." "Why me?" she asked again, though she already knew the answer. "Because you asked," the voice replied. Images filled her mind again. The alien fleets drawing closer. The colony in chaos. Humanity scattered across stars, fragile and small. But in those visions, she also saw something else. People united, sharing knowledge, working together, rising higher than they had ever dreamed. Alara fell to her knees, tears in her eyes. She had wished for purpose, but now she carried the burden of an entire species. The next day, the alien fleets entered the system. Observatories tracked them moving toward Orion. Panic spread across the colony. Evacuation plans failed as ships overloaded with frightened people. Soldiers prepared for hopeless battle. Governor Rane called Alara before the council again. His voice was sharp with desperation. "We have no time. If the ship is truly a key, then use it. Do something." Alara took a deep breath. "I will go to the vessel alone. No soldiers. No scientists. Only me." "You expect us to trust you?" Rain demanded. "You have no choice," Alara said quietly. "It chose me, not you." The governor's jaw tightened, but he finally nodded. Alara returned to the chamber with Kieran at her side. This time the ship's doorway opened fully, welcoming her inside. She stepped onto the bridge of light and into the heart of the vessel. The walls glowed with energy, symbols shifting into patterns she could almost understand. The voice spoke again. "The fleets approach. They hunger. They destroy. What is your choice?" Alara's voice shook. "I don't want to fight them with fear. I don't want to destroy them. But I don't want to let them destroy us either." "Then what do you seek?" the voice asked. Alara closed her eyes. She remembered the colony, the laughter of children, the dreams of explorers, the stories of Earth. She remembered standing on the cliffs on her birthday night, whispering to the stars. She had not asked for power. She had asked for belonging. "I seek a future for humanity," she said. "Not just survival, but growth. I want us to rise. I want us to stand together. I want us to belong to the stars, not as slaves or prey, but as equals." The vessel's core flared with brilliant light. The walls sang with energy, 1,000 voices harmonizing as one. "You have chosen," the voice said. "Then receive the gift." A surge of knowledge poured into Alara's mind. She gasped, clutching her head as images, patterns, and ideas filled her. She saw designs for ships stronger than any human had built. She saw energy systems, medicines, and tools. She saw ways to unite scattered colonies, to defend against threats, to explore the galaxy not as victims but as pioneers. When the light faded, she fell to the floor, trembling. Kieran rushed to her side. "Alara, are you all right?" I know things," she whispered. "I know how to help us, but I can't do it alone." Outside, the alien fleets loomed closer. The colony prepared for the worst. But Alara returned to the council and spoke with new strength. "We cannot fight them with fear. We cannot run, but we can stand together. The vessel has given me knowledge to protect us if we trust each other." Governor Rane studied her carefully. "And if we don't trust you?" Alara met his gaze steadily. "Then we will all fall." The council fell silent. At last the governor nodded. Then show us what must be done. Ilara worked day and night guiding the scientists and engineers. With her new knowledge, they built powerful shields from simple colony materials. They created weapons not for destruction but for defense. They linked communication systems so every colonist could hear each other, no longer divided by fear. Slowly, the colony changed. People who had been afraid now felt hope. Workers who had abandoned their jobs returned, building together. Soldiers who had prepared for hopeless battle now stood ready with purpose. For the first time, Orion felt united. But the fleet still approached, their massive forms casting shadows across the system. Ilara knew the true test was still to come. On the final night before the fleets reached orbit, Ilara stood again on the cliff where it had all begun. The red winds howled and the stars burned bright above. Kieran stood beside her. "You've changed," he said softly. Ilara shook her head. "No, I'm still the same. I'm just finally who I was meant to be." Kieran smiled faintly. "Do you think we can really survive this?" Ilara looked at the sky. "I don't just think so. I believe it. Because we're not alone anymore. We're human, and that means we don't give up." She whispered again to the stars, her voice steady this time. "Make us yours." And the stars, silent and endless, seemed to listen. The fleets were coming. The colony was ready. The burden of choice weighed on Ilara's shoulders, but she no longer feared it. She had chosen hope. She had chosen unity. And soon humanity would face the test that would decide its future. The alien fleets reached orbit around Orion. Their ships were enormous, black silhouettes against the red sky, each one larger than a city. The colony below trembled with fear. Families gathered in their homes, children hid behind parents, and soldiers stood ready with weapons that felt too small against such power. Ilara stood at the center of the council chamber, her heart beating like a drum. She had guided the colony through preparation, teaching them knowledge given by the vessel. Shields now covered the settlement. Energy systems pulsed with new strength. But still, she knew these defenses were only the beginning. The governor's voice was tight with fear. "They are here. What do we do now?" Ilara closed her eyes for a moment. She could almost hear the hum of the vessel calling to her, reminding her of her choice. When she opened them again, her voice was steady. "We don't fight with fear. We stand together. If we show them we are prey, they will treat us as prey. If we show them we are strong, they will see us differently." The council hesitated. Soldiers looked doubtful. But the people of the colony, listening through the new linked communication system, began to murmur with hope. Kieran stepped forward. "She's right. We've come this far because we trusted her. Now we must trust her again." Ilara returned to the vessel inside the mountain. The walls glowed brightly, welcoming her. The voice of the watchers filled the chamber. "The fleets are above. They hunger. They destroy. What is your choice?" Ilara stood tall. "I choose to protect my people. I choose unity, not fear. I choose for humanity to rise." The vessel pulsed with light, brighter than ever before. A great beam shot upward from the mountain, piercing the sky. The alien fleets turned their attention to the source of the energy. For the first time, they hesitated. On the colony surface, the people watched in awe as the mountain glowed like a star. The shields around the settlement grew stronger, fed by the vessel's energy. The alien ships began to descend, preparing for battle. But the colony did not tremble this time. They stood together. Inside the vessel, Ilara's mind filled with new visions. She saw how to connect the colony's thoughts, how to join voices as one. With trembling hands, she placed them on the glowing core. "Make us one," she whispered. A wave of light spread across the colony. Every person felt a sudden warmth in their mind, a soft touch like a hand resting on their shoulder. For the first time, they felt each other's thoughts, not fully, but enough to sense unity. Fear shrank as hope spread. Soldiers felt the courage of farmers. Children felt the calm of their parents. Workers felt the determination of their leaders. The colony was no longer divided. It was one. The alien fleets attacked. Bolts of energy rained down from the sky. But the shields, strengthened by both knowledge and unity, held firm. Colonists who had once been strangers worked side by side, repairing, guiding, and protecting. Each person acted not alone, but as part of something greater. Ilara felt their unity inside her. She was the bridge, the voice, the one who carried their strength into the vessel. The ship responded to her emotions, magnifying the colony's defenses. Every time she whispered for strength, the shields grew stronger. Every time she whispered for light, the vessel shone brighter. The aliens hesitated again. This world was not weak. This world did not break, but the fleets pressed harder. More ships descended. The colony shook under the force of their assault. Ilara's strength began to fade. Her mind felt heavy, her body trembling. She fell to her knees inside the vessel, her vision blurring. Kieran rushed to her side. "Ilara, you can't hold it alone." "I'm not," she whispered. "I'm holding it with all of them." She closed her eyes and reached deeper. She let the voices of the colony flow through her. Children, workers, elders, every soul united. She was not just Ilara anymore. She was the voice of thousands. Together they cried out to the stars. The vessel roared with light. Beams shot upward, striking the alien ships. Not to destroy them, but to push them back, to show them this world could not be taken. The fleet staggered under the brilliance. Their weapons faltered, and then silence. The alien fleets turned slowly and began to retreat. One by one, their massive shapes vanished into the dark of space. The people of Orion stood in stunned silence. They had not been destroyed. They had not been enslaved. They had survived. Inside the vessel, Ilara collapsed against the glowing core, exhausted. Kieran caught her, holding her up. "You did it," he whispered. "No," she said weakly. "We did it. All of us." The voice of the Watchers echoed softly. "Humanity has answered. You chose unity, not fear. You are ready to rise." The vessel dimmed, settling into silence once more. It had given what it could. The rest was now in human hands. Days passed. The colony slowly returned to life. The people repaired their homes, rebuilt their fields, and strengthened their defenses. But something deeper had changed. They were no longer just a scattered group on a distant world. They were united by what they had faced together. Ilara walked through the streets, and for the first time she felt no distance between herself and the others. People smiled at her, not with fear or suspicion, but with respect. Children waved, soldiers saluted, elders nodded with quiet pride. Governor Rane approached her one morning. His stern face had softened. "I was wrong to doubt you," he said. "You have given us a future. Not just survival, but hope." Ilara bowed her head. "I only did what I could." "You did more," Rane said. "You reminded us of who we are." One evening, Ilara returned to the cliffs where everything had begun. The wind howled, the stars burned, and the galaxy stretched across the sky like a river of light. Kieran stood beside her, quiet and thoughtful. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked softly. "Yes," Ilara said. "Others will come too. Some will want to destroy us. Some may want to trade or learn. But it doesn't matter. We're ready now." Kieran smiled faintly. "Because of you?" Ilara shook her head. "Because of us. Humanity isn't just one person. It's all of us together. That's what makes us strong." She looked at the stars, her eyes shining with quiet determination. On her 20th birthday, she had whispered for the universe to make her its own. Now she realized it had not just answered her. It had answered humanity. She whispered again, her voice steady and full of hope. "We are yours, but we are also our own." The stars did not reply, but she did not need them to. She knew the universe had heard, and this time it was humanity's turn to answer back.